The class test was available since Friday and was available over the weekend, and it's also still available until 12 o'clock tonight. Okay, after 12 o'clock tonight, unfortunately, the class test won't be done. So if you did it, you will get a mark out of 25. If you didn't, sorry, you've missed that particular opportunity. Anyway, anybody, any questions? Those 6 students who have joined the session. Andres already expressed, and I'm going to have made a note, and I will do a sort of a summary and overview of the entire course, something that you can refer back to later on in the course, and also use it as an opportunity for us to check where we are in the bigger picture at the moment at the start of week 3. Nobody else? Okay, I'm going to open my, I would like to open my my meeting chat again. The reason why I closed it was because this transcription function that that Teams have now also activated. I don't want to see myself talking in the sidebar. But anyway, people, we've all heard the expression, knowledge is power. We know knowledge is power. Unfortunately, you can also have, it makes you powerful, but it can also make you powerful with the wrong knowledge. You can be knowledgeable about the wrong things as well. And I think that's where we need to find a fine line. But basically, yes, we know that knowledge is power. And that's what we're trying to, and we'll try to unbundle in this chapter, to just identify why is it so important that salespeople have basic sales knowledge, and not just knowledge about the product that you are selling, but there's a few other general aspects that we also need to gather some and gain proper knowledge of. Right. We're also going to try and see how you can apply the knowledge that you've obtained when you are engaging in a sale. The sources where you can get information, because sometimes, yeah, but I don't know where to, you know what? 30 years ago, when I had to do, when I was searching and trying to find information for class tests, class assignments and stuff like that, we only had one encyclopedia in the whole world, and everybody in every household that we didn't have internet and everything like that. So you have more than enough resources. We are going to look at the different resources and which ones are most effectively used, because one of the things I think that many of the medical professionals have also shared with the country in the last number of weeks is not to lend your ears out to unverified sources. Okay, because everybody's, don't get vaccinated, this and this and this, you'll grow an extra arm, you'll die in 7 years. People, you know what, I suppose when you're 25, you don't want to live for another 7 years. But then if you're 77, some people say, you know what, I'm okay with that. But you know, that's not the argument. The argument is you have to be able to trust the source that's providing you with the information that forms your knowledge. And I think that's part of what we'll do in this section when we look at the resources that's available to you to obtain more knowledge. Right, and then obviously, because of technology, we find ourselves in that era. We cannot hide it, and that's probably usually most of our go-to first options if we are looking for more and for specific information and new information. I'm going to start today with the following image, and I think it's actually sort of explains what we want to achieve, and also explains the balance that we need to find between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad. Okay. People, it summarizes what we are going to attempt to do today, and that is to ensure that you find information that will give you the knowledge that's necessary from credible sources, and also in the same sense, then using it correctly. There's nothing that that a customer hates more than a salesperson who talks to them and you can see this is the flavor of the week. You read this somewhere in an article or on the internet, or maybe heard it at a braai, or maybe it's something that he saw in a magazine. But that's sort of the theme for the week, and it's information overload and often not relevant. So gathering information, massively important. Knowing when to use it, even more important. And that's basically what the image on the screen is trying to provide you. We know that for many years, and still in some industries, however, mass production still happens, but we also have, as we discussed in first semester in business marketing, and also in the first few chapters in personal selling, we've touched on it again. That there has been gradually, up to the point where we find ourselves now, there's been a shift to rather focus on forming long-term relationships with our customers. It just works better for customer retention and to develop loyal customers. But it also prevents us from sharing unnecessary information with our customers. If we have paid attention to what the customers have informed us they would prefer to have, if we've taken those notes and effectively applied them, we will be customizing our products and our services that we offer our customers. So it's not it's just logically, if you unbundle that, if a customer tells you, this is what I prefer to get from you, quality-wise as well as service, and you as a company then go out and do exactly that. You improve the product. You give him all the features that he wants to get the benefits that he needs. You give him 5-star service. How can that customer complain? I know that there will be people that will never be satisfied, but by the time that you've actually provided him with what he asked, he's actually changed his mind. We're taking that out of the equation because those will always be there. Okay, you're never going to have a clean record where nobody ever complains. But often, even those people who are never satisfied, in our opinions, are never satisfied, never happy with whatever you give them, they are providing you with very valuable information where you can still improve. You will obviously always try and satisfy the most difficult customer, because if you satisfy the most difficult customer and you implement all those requirements that satisfies them, you'll probably satisfy the majority of the rest as well, if not everybody. Okay. Just remember, selling is a skill to be able to sell effectively. It's a skill to be successful in sales. But it's also very important to remember that you never really get to satisfy everybody. It should be your intention, but you must also realize, if you're realistic also, you know that although that's what you're aiming for, you're not necessarily going to get it. But if you lower your if you lower your target, you're definitely not going to get there. I'm trying to remember now, just to not to mess up the story and provide the punchline at the inappropriate time. But there's a video that I've used before for motivation during an orientation session, and I think in that video the speaker said that his dad always said, "I am not worried that you're going to aim too high and miss. I'm worried that you're going to aim too low. Because if you aim too high and you miss, you still hit." And I think, to me, that was very valuable in how I approach any sales situation. Obviously, you always prepare for the worst and hope for the best, because then you've over prepared, and anything that comes along your way, if it doesn't work out like that and the worst case scenario never unveils, then you've actually done very well. Very important to be able to achieve this is that we have to identify correctly what the customer wants, because you can go back and to your boss and said, "Listen, I've spoken to this customer. I think he's definitely keen, but he had a few valid questions, and he suggested that maybe we approve on this and improve on that." And then they go out and they do that, and then it was the wrong information. Then the salesperson misinterpreted the response from the customer. Training of customers as well is equally important. Not just to be knowledgeable at the product that you're offering. But there's a bit more, and we'll have a look at. Welcome, Keenan, and we'll look at a few aspects that can help you to improve your sales techniques, and also use the information, or by using the information and the knowledge that you have gathered over time and through experience, that you use that effectively. Because there's nothing worse than having learned the lesson and in future not applying that in next sales situations, or in life in general, but obviously we're putting on our sales hats now. Knowledge is power, definitely. It gives you confidence. If you have the knowledge, if you know the product you are selling by heart, man, you're going to be confident in your sales. It also tells the customer, "Oh man, this guy knows his thing. He knows this product. Definitely is a product expert." We're not implying that you have to be a walking dictionary, but it therefore helps to use the product that you're selling yourself. If you're selling Toyotas, it will be good if you can drive a Toyota. I think obviously those brands have realized that as well, that people in those sales positions, and obviously not everybody, you can't sponsor the whole world, but everybody that represents a specific brand who are in sales at some point must at least have used the products that they are attempting to sell. If you appear to be a knowledgeable individual, you've crossed that very important first hurdle, and you have created trust with your customers. And you cannot just sit back and say, "Yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, I made that mistake because, you know what, we're always the last people to hear. The company never tells us these things. I didn't know about that." It's your responsibility to find it out. You can't just go. You have to be resourceful, and you have to be on top of whatever happens in your company, not just what happens on your desk and with your clients. You need to have a bigger picture or be informed. You don't have to be knowledgeable on every single aspect that happens. Okay, some people will just call that plain nosy. But the fact is that you have to know a bit more about the business that you're representing. Remember from previous chapter, you as salespeople are representing the businesses that you are selling for. So it is important to be trained, and not just to be trained and then, okay, right, thanks, tick that box, 5 bonus points for me. You are continuously, for the rest of your life, you are going to be trained. I think I've only had a very short coaching career professionally, and I can tell you, I was still anxious before every single session when I coached, because you learn something new every day, and you continuously learn. It's at that point where you say, I think I know everything now, that you usually are going to hit the wall, so to speak. Right. Anybody all good? Any questions? Keenan, are you on campus, or because I know that you often go to campus for internet? You didn't play in the home game, apparently. Right. Anybody, any questions at this stage? Nobody? All good?
All good, Jaco.
Thank you very much. Right. Let's just sort of look at a few aspects, general aspects that is important for you as a salesperson to at least have. Some people call it characteristics, some people call it qualities. Whatever you call it, I think there are a few common qualities that as salespeople, and some of you are in sales, some of you have some sales experience, but it's always good just to summarize again. Sometimes we forget these things, sometimes it's completely new to us, and if you set off on a career path of sales, you I think, like we said in the, or addressed in the previous chapter, chapter 3, your personality and your appearance is very important. Okay, if you I'm not suggesting that certain personalities can't sell. It's just if talking to people comes more naturally, because that's one of your characteristic character traits, then it will be easier, yes, but it's something that you can address. It's something that comes with the confidence that you grow once you become more knowledgeable. But please, appearance is very important. Good health doesn't mean that you have to be a gym bunny. It means that you need to have a lot of energy and enthusiasm. So in other words, good health means if it doesn't mean that you have to squat 180 kgs and you have to run a 3-minute kilometer half marathons. It means that you generally have to look after yourself. It means that in the current situation that we're in, that you vaccinate, that you adhere to the social distancing regulations, that you look after your own personal hygiene, and that you also look at specifically your lifestyle. It doesn't mean that you have to give up anything. It just means that find a balance. We spoke about it before the session started, Andre. I think we all know that there's only 24 hours in a day, and I think I said it before. It could have been to you as a group. If not, I'm going to repeat myself here now at the hand of an example. There's 24 hours in a day, people. Let's play a game. We're supposed to. That's what the scientists and the clever people say. We're supposed to sleep at about 6 hours effectively, or even 4 hours in rapid eye movement sleep, REM sleep. But they say 6 to 8 hours. Am I correct? 6 to 8 hours?
7, yeah.
Okay, 24 hours in a day. We sleep for 7. Let's say we listen to what everybody says, we sleep for 7. Regardless if you actually sleep effectively, doesn't matter. You've got 17 hours to go. Right. You have to travel to come to campus. Let's say, for instance, that takes you, you're very lucky. I'm just going to go with minimum here. You travel to campus, you take, or you travel to work. You can either drive in your own private vehicle or you can use public transport. It's going to be at least 2 hours. Let's say if you're lucky, if you're very fortunate, it's going to be 2 hours. Let's say an hour there and an hour back. Okay, that leaves us with 15 hours in a day. They say you also should have 3 meals during the day, well balanced, spaced apart. There are different people who say have 6 smaller meals, whatever. Regardless, let's stick to the traditional 3 hours or 1 hour per event. That will be for breakfast, it will be for lunch, and it will be for supper. I've put an hour aside for each of those because if you're going to be looking after your lifestyle, you can't stand and eat and rush and do 5 things while you eat and also type a presentation. Or actually, for your food to digest properly, which again links us to our lifestyle and our health, sit down, relax, prepare food and eat it. That's another 3 hours. We've got 12 hours left. Right. On average, people who do work for 8 hours. That means you've got 4 hours left in a day. Students who are studying, let's say you attend classes and your classes are between 8 and 4 in the morning, although it might not be for the full duration of 8 to 4. But you can't really do anything else. If you've got the first period and then the third and the fourth and the seventh and the eighth, there's only so much that you can do in between. So in between, maybe you do some homework and stuff like that. But it effectively ends up to about 6 to 8 hours. Okay? You're going to be stuck with 4 hours in a day. People, you can have a wife, you can have a family, you can have a girlfriend, you can have a social life. You've got 4 hours left. You've done everything that you should do. You've gone to work or you've gone to class. You're either a professional student or you're working full-time and also studying. You have slept, you have ate. You got to work, you got to class, and you got back home. People, there's 4 hours left. Even if you train and go to the gym for an hour, you still got 3 hours left. Okay? So it all comes down. The reason why I'm breaking it down like this is Andre reminded me before the start of the class that it's probably good to do a sort of a breakdown, but you were specifically referring to the course. But that actually triggered this exercise with me as well, because we often find it difficult and we often find the excuse, oh, I didn't have time. No, you do have time. You just didn't manage your time properly. Example is probably more appropriate for what we're going to do in the next chapter, chapter 5, and that is basically how you manage yourself and how you manage time. But one of the important things is we always find a reason why we can't take care of our health, why we can't go to the gym, why we can't walk the dog. You know what, people? I'm almost 60, and the bottom line is, I know I would like to train 3-4 hours. My heart, I'm an Olympian, but the body, unfortunately, doesn't support that particular status. However, you do what you can. If it's 45 minutes today, on Saturday, there was such a rush from very early in the morning up to and just, and I thought, oh, geez, I skipped my training. No. I skipped my usual time of training, but then I decided, you know what? Let me get onto the stationary bike in the braai room while I'm watching the rugby or while I'm watching the football. That's an hour and a half that you can actually start. Then you've actually trained for an hour and a half. I mean, it's tough to stay on a bike for an hour and a half. But just don't invite friends over while you do that, because then you're definitely you're going to stop cycling after 5 minutes. But people, what I'm saying is just Find creative ways of dealing all of these things, rather than finding excuses not to do that, because in general, all of them combined is what's going to make you more successful. Not just the knowledge. It's you can be as knowledgeable as ever. You can be more knowledgeable than Einstein. Bad health. Don't have the enthusiasm, don't have the energy to actually do your job every day. Right. Mental qualities. Sharp memory. Yes, definitely. You cannot struggle with remembering things. Unfortunately, nowadays we've become lazy because we have all these calendars and reminders on our phones and stuff. Okay? But you know what? We work around that. Show integrity. Be honest. We are talking about qualities of salespeople. For those who have forgotten what you're busy with. Knowledge of your product, knowledge of your customer, knowledge of your company that you're working for. Yes, you need to have persuasive skills, and you need to be able to create a desire for the product by featuring the advantages and the benefits that the customer is going to have. Those are all things that's going to make you a good salesperson. At the end of the day, for you to be able to sell, you need to be able to focus. You need to be able to have energy to survive a day. You need to be able to do that today, tomorrow, and for the rest of the week and the next week again. Okay, so you have to also find a balance. And one of the first things that you have to do is to be able to manage your own personal time. Okay, because guess what, people? When something happens to you, they're going to just replace you. And somebody else will be doing your job next week. Okay, so it's important. Look after yourself, and this is not, I'm not on a crusade, it's very topical because it is important if you need the energy. And maybe I just have more energy today, but you know what? I made a conscious decision last night. I wasn't feeling great. I was slightly tired, but it was only because I was doing a lot of things at the same time. And I decided, you know what? No, just going to wait till tomorrow morning. So I went to bed very early last night. I think it was not even 8:30 last night. But my heart was full of joy because the Springboks won, and Liverpool won, and Man United didn't win. So I was in a reasonably good mindset. But I was tired, and I went to bed, and I got up at 4 this morning, and I'm actually still very energetic. And it's people find different ways, but do find ways. That's the important thing, because that's what salespeople do. They find solutions. They find solutions to customers' problems, and they offer them different alternatives on how to solve a problem. But the intention is to solve the problem by satisfying the need of the customer. I think at this point, you know what? Time has flown by. We've got a couple of minutes to go before it's 2 o'clock. So let's just resume. I'm going to just catch up and fill up my cup of tea, and make sure that I update the attendance quickly. Anybody, any questions? I'm just going to stop the recording just to ensure that we have 2 different recorded sessions. And then let's resume in about 5 minutes or so. Let's stick to the original timetable, and let's make it 2:05. And then if anybody has any questions, sort of off the record, whatever, because I'm not going to record the session, then you're welcome to ask me that. I'm not going to leave. I'm just going to boil some water, make some tea, but